All right, we're going to talk a little single arm rowing here. Dumbbell rows, setup, compensations, a little bit on joint mechanics, and a few cues that you can use to kind of optimize your rowing and get a little bit more out of it overall. So let's go through setup. Again, with anything we want to be aware, rib cage position, so keeping that rib cage down, and pelvis position. So we want to make sure that we're not overextended, and at the opposite end of the spectrum, we want to make sure that we're not too flexed. So in this position, to set up, little exhale. Now that my abs are turned on, my rib cage is down, I'm going to take that big breath in, try and generate a nice 360 circumferential expansion from here, reach down, and now I'm in a good position with my rib cage as well as my pelvis to get some good rows in. Now, what's the big deal about the setup and the breathing? You got to remember that scapular position on the rib cage is influenced by the rib cage expansion. What causes rib cage expansion? Breathing, taking in oxygen. So as that rib cage expands and you get a better position of the scap on the rib cage, now we get more reflexive firing of the muscles on the scap, on the rib cage. And again, the whole point of a row is scapular movement on the rib cage, as well as improving scapular retraction with shoulder extension. So that's why the setup is so important. Now let's talk through a few compensations that you're going to see. First one is a lot of people tend to lock down the scap and just retract it once and only move the arm, versus when you come down to the bottom, you should use the cue Mike Robertson has. Big stretch in the bottom. Think about almost reaching for the floor and getting a little scap protraction before then you row. The row is going to be two movements in one. Think of it, you can use the cue pinch and pull. So when you row, you're actually going to get scap retraction, pinch, and then pull, shoulder extension. But like in anything in life, it's never going to be one and then the other. Of course, the movement's always going to be combined as you're rowing. So you can break it up a little bit and give a couple reps, pinch, pull, and that can kind of help you to ingrain that cue and understand what the row is supposed to feel like. But ideally, you just want to make sure that you're not locking that shoulder blade back and only moving the arm within the shoulder socket. You're also getting some good scapular movement on the rib cage. So that's kind of number one that I see a lot. The other thing is a lot of people try and turn the row into an entirely up and down linear movement. And the row is more almost like an arc. So what you want to imagine is as you're rowing here, you're almost pulling the dumbbell into the hip. And you'll notice it's going to feel a little bit different, a little more natural almost, in that when you're pulling only linearly straight up, you actually put the shoulder, sometimes, it depends on the person, you put the shoulder in a worse position ideally at the top. Because here we kind of get jammed up, the shoulder starts to drift forward in the socket, and you get that anterior humeral glide. So you put more pressure on the anterior capsule, and you begin to stretch out that shoulder, which again, especially in throwing populations, is going to be very detrimental. So we want to make sure that we're rowing in an arc, almost pulling into the hip. And the third thing is we want to be cognizant of our elbow position. A lot of people, when they row, they try and get full range of motion, is what they call it. But again, as the elbow dips past the body, we got to look at what's happening at the shoulder. So the shoulder joint is again gliding forward in the socket. So what I like to tell most of my athletes is as they're pulling, elbow should just come past your rib cage. Again, once it gets past that point, you're not getting anything extra out of going into this extension pattern at the shoulder. Again, we're probably just doing more damage to that anterior capsule. So, as we're rowing, exhale, cage down, good inhale. Now, as we row past the body, elbows just coming past the rib cage and then stopping. That's all we're looking for. Big stretch in the bottom. So, 3 real quick things to help clean up your dumbbell rows. Hopefully gives you a better idea of what the movement should look like, should feel like. If you guys have comments, leave them in the comment section below. Let me know if there's anything else you guys want to see, new content. Hit the subscribe button as well while you're down there if you like what you see on this channel. And if you have any other questions or whatnot about training, shoot me an email. It's michaeljwines@gmail.com. Anyways, guys, hope that was helpful.